What is up, Crew Addicts? So it's been about a month since the Crew Motorfest has released, and after countless hours playing this game and customizing tons of cars, I figured I'd make a video covering the top 10 things that I strongly dislike about this game. I can't really say hate because it's obviously still a good game in general, but strongly dislike isn't the best for a video title, obviously, so that's why, most people use the word hate in those types of titles. But anyways, to clarify here, I really like this game. It's basically Ubisoft's approach to a Forza Horizon style game, and I think it's great, but there are some things, especially in terms of car customization, that are very annoying in this game, and hopefully they can fix in the future. So let's start off with the customization annoyances and then work our way to the other stuff. So starting off with number 10, we have the too many options incorporated into the front and rear bumper customization. So some cars have like 20 plus bumper options, but in reality it's just 4 or 5 different bumpers because they have the headlights and the front splitters, etc. mixed in the front bumper options. And for the rear bumpers it's even worse, with the lights, diffusers, and even the exhaust options tied to the bumpers. So one bumper might have an exhaust option that you like, but you don't like that particular bumper or diffuser, you're kind of screwed. You have to compromise. I just really don't like the way they went about this. It feels really unorganized. They really should separate the lights, exhaust, etc. into different bumper options, which is something that other games have been doing for years. They copied this right over from the Crew 2, and I honestly thought when we got the next big Crew game they were going to address this and separate some of these options and make it a little bit better, but sadly they didn't. They just copied and pasted it straight over from the Crew 2. Anyways, next up on to number 9. This one is pretty annoying. We have the loss of a stock brake caliper color. So for those of you who don't know, most cars come stock with a certain brake caliper color, and other cars even have exclusive brake caliper colors. And if you hover or scroll past the brake caliper color option on your car, even if it's accidental, it will revert your brake caliper color to a standard black or red, which is extremely annoying. Since it's something that's done unintentionally, you don't even have to go into the brake caliper option itself. You just have to scroll past it and it's going to revert your color to either red or black. Kind of annoying, and again, if it's a unique color, you're sort of screwed because you can't get it back. You have to kind of choose a custom color that looks somewhat similar to what you had before. And just like the last customization annoyance, this was the same issue in the Crew 2, which they never fixed, and they carried it right over to the Crew Motorfest. Continuing to number 8, we have the wheel customization. So firstly, you cannot paint the color of stock wheels, which I guess is not too big of an issue. Now you can buy custom wheels and of course change the colors of those, but for some reason they're all forced in this sort of like chrome polished look regardless of the color, which is just very weird, especially for colors like gold, which looks really tacky in this sort of like cheap looking super high polished finish. And you can't change it to satin or just a normal non-chrome look, which is very annoying. And because of this, you can't even paint your wheels silver or white, for example, because they're forced in chrome. Hopefully in the future they give us the colored texture options from the primary paint section for the wheels. That would be awesome. And lastly, for wheels, there's a feature to change the size of your wheels, which is nice. However, it doesn't actually tell you the size of the wheel, whether it's a 19-inch wheel, a 20-inch wheel, etc., for example. So you're sort of forced to count how many ticks to the left or right on the slider. That way you can sort of match it to the rear wheel. It's kind of annoying. I wish they would give us a better way to know what wheel size we have selected. And again, both of these annoyances were issues in the Crew 2, which they brought right over to Motorfest. It didn't change. You can kind of see the pattern here. Moving on to number 7, we have the permanent loss of stock interior colors / textures. So if you purchase a custom interior color, and let's say you change your mind and you don't like it anymore, you want to go back to stock for that unique stock interior color, stitching, pattern on a seat, whatever, you unfortunately can't get it back. So for example, on my Mark IV Supra here, you can see how it has this cool custom design in the center of the seats, but if you purchase a custom one and then try to put it back to stock, it won't let you. And this also applies to some cars that have unique interior stitching color and other colors in general. So be very careful when you change your interior colors, guys, because if there's anything special or unique in there, you will lose it. Next up, on to number 6, we have the lack of vehicle class variety for normal cars. So while there's a decent amount of vehicle classes, it baffles me that we don't have a sports class, for example, a supercar class, a muscle car class, or even just a classic car class in this game. Most of those I mentioned are just shoved into the street tier 1 and 2 class, which honestly I'm not too much of a fan of. I really thought a larger variety of vehicle classes was something they were going to give us going into Motorfest, but instead the only new class we got was them splitting the street class into a tier 1 and 2. So I mean, it helps, but they really should have done something better than that. Continuing to number 5, we have the lack of customization for certain vehicle classes like Rally Raid, Rally, etc. Now, classes like Alpha GP, Racing, Boats, etc., I completely understand why there's no visual customization for those, but for vehicles like the Hummer EV, the new Jeep Wrangler 392, the Bronco, etc., these have no visual customization except for wheel and brake caliper color. I don't understand why these don't have any customization options. Now, most vehicles in the Rally Raid class don't have any visual customization, but I mean, for vehicles like this, they really should have visual customization. I mean, the Jeep and the Bronco are super customizable in real life, but in this game we can't do anything to them except for wheels and caliper color. Moving on to number 4, we have no ghosting in online PvP races during corners. Now, if someone respawns, they will go ghost, which is nice, but during slow speed corners, especially in the beginning section of these races, the cars do not go into ghost mode, they stay exactly the same. So it ends up being an absolute cluster, you know what, in the corners of these online races, because other players, they use your car as their brakes and also as their wall ride. They dive bomb you into every other corner. I really wish they would incorporate a ghosting feature, kind of like Forza Horizon, so that no one can ram into you and dive bomb you during those slow speed corners. Next up, on to number 3, we have a lack of organized online lobbies. So the only way you can get in a free mode lobby with your friends intentionally is by being in the same crew. However, crews are limited to only 4 players. So if you have more than 3 friends, you're sort of screwed. You're going to have to tell your other friends to go play by themselves or with someone else. It just doesn't make any sense to me in a 2023 game why this is the case. They really need to find a way to improve this so that you can interact with more than 3 friends at once in game. And also, to go along with this, even if you finally get in a free mode lobby with a friend, there's a lot of issues with them randomly disappearing and reappearing when you're driving with them. I just don't understand why it's so broken in free mode, but when you're in an online PvP mode, everything is basically flawless with the same friend and other players. I just don't understand what the issue is here. Hopefully they fix it in the future. But as for the 4-player crew thing, I doubt they're ever going to expand that. They really need to find a way to use the same system that brings players into, one of those large 28-player lobbies, but allow someone to actually host that and have more of like a sandbox free mode. That would be a lot better. But anyways, continuing to number 2, we have the lack of no houses or garages in this game. So unlike the Crew 2, where you actually had a house and you could organize some of your cars in the garage and even customize them in there, that is non-existent in the Crew Motorfest. The only building/place you can enter is the main Motorfest car meet, and that's it. So the only place you can customize your cars is in this boring main menu with this white background, which to me doesn't really quite give you the same feeling as customizing your cars in a garage or even a custom shop with some things to look at in the background, just some better scenery while you're customizing your car. But anyways, lastly, on to number 1. This one has been quite controversial, and that's the fact that the map of this game is just too small for a game that was so well known for having a massive map. In the Crew 2, it was basically a scaled down map of the whole United States, and it literally took you over an hour to drive across the map in a sports car at max speed, which really gave it a unique feel. Now, I completely understand with Motorfest they wanted to give a smaller map that had more detail, so they chose Hawaii this time around, specifically the island of Oahu, which is fine, but I really wish they would have found a way to incorporate all of the main islands of Hawaii. I mean, think about how much more useful the planes and boats in this game would be if you can actually go between islands. I mean, it would give them a lot more purpose, because right now they sort of feel out of place in this game. Now, there is always a possibility that they might add more islands in future DLC updates, but for right now, I feel like the unique character of the crew's massive map is kind of lost and makes this game feel a lot less special, in my opinion. But anyways, guys, those are the top 10 things that I hate in the Crew Motorfest. Now, there are a few others, like some exhaust notes that are off on some cars, and the internal upgrade customization system, which I'm still not too much of a fan of due to the constant grinding for certain perks and stuff, but I think I've covered most of the major ones, which I'm sure those of you who have been playing this game now for a bit have noticed a lot of these issues as well. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think down below in the comments and what things you hate in the Crew Motorfest. Let's hope Ivory Tower fixes some of these. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.